I want to tell you a story. No.
No.
We want to tell you a story.
No.
No.
We need you to experience our story.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Joanna Bucknell and you are listening to an extrasode of TAIT, that's T-A-I-T, which is short for Talking About Immersive Theatre. In fact, you're actually listening to the first ever extrasode of TAIT, which is very exciting. I know people normally call these minisodes, but turns out not so mini, so I've decided to call them extrasodes, and I'm hoping this is going to be the first of many. So here is some extra content. Enjoy! So I am here at the TAIT / Vertical Exchange Performance Collective Homestead, or
our
common
house.
Our house. And
AKA your house.
my house. More specifically, we are sat in my snug.
Front room for everyone else. Jeepers creepers.
And I am with Kirsty Mills and Nigel Tuttle.
Apparently not in my house, though.
I always do that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We are in Joe and Nigel's house right now.
Thank you, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I live here too.
Yes, you do.
so yes, I'm here with Kirsty, Nigel, Castiel Isambard, and Zachariah Derrida.
God. Those are dogs for everybody else. Jesus Christ. Sorry.
And this is an extremely momentous occasion because it's a rare moment when all three of the collective of VEX are in the same room.
Ever? How often does it happen?
Very rarely.
During some sort of cosmic equinox, when all the planets are aligned, at some point we get into the same room.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
No, we did go very middle class, and we all went on holiday.
Oh, we went on a
Couple of years ago,
holiday.
Yeah, we did go on a holiday.
So we went all middle class, and we rented a house, and we went on holiday to Cornwall.
Yes, that's true.
We didn't do any work, but we went
No,
on
we
holiday.
didn't do any work.
But this was before we started. I started TAIT for sure, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
nowhere near before we started VEX.
Yeah, no, well, Vex is... How old is Vex now?
Officially 2005 was the beginning.
Oh, well, that's not where it started, though.
That's not where it started.
That's got to be 2003.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
So what I wanted to do was to capture it for two reasons, really. Firstly, because I thought it might be interesting for you to hear us in discussion and conversation. So this is not an interview. This is not an interview. It's a chat and a much more informal kind of process than usual episodes, and that's because it is a minisode, and it is the first ever minisode. So this is very exciting.
This is a prototype. Yeah.
It is a prototype. And secondly, because we actually have a show coming up, and I thought we're all together, which never happens. It's the ideal opportunity to capture us in discussion and also capture us literally in the middle of running around like blue-ass flies to get a show ready for the end of this month, which is going on in London. London.
My hometown. So you're coming down to London,
Yes.
where you never come to London. Well, you do.
I do all the time.
But I never see you ever.
I know. Yeah.
I live in London, so which is why we never see each other. But yeah,
Indeed.
so it's going to be somewhere near London Bridge.
Indeed.
On
In the COLAB factory.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's currently called. I know
That's what it's called on the website.
Oh,
So-
brilliant. That's fine then. We're going to be in the COLAB factory,
Yeah.
which is near London Bridge, but it is a secret location, only revealed once you buy tickets to one thing or another that might be on there.
Yeah.
And of course, once that secret's revealed, you'll always know where the COLAB
COLAB
factory
factory
is.
is.
You can't. We don't give you a pill as you leave that will, or flash a little.
Oh yeah, like Men in Black.
Or
Yeah.
do we?
Ah.
No, we don't. We do not give
No,
any
we
kind
don't.
of weird drugs
We do
out,
not
mate.
drug audience members or erase their memories as they leave.
No, we don't have that technology as of yet.
Yet.
No need to be sinister about it.
Sorry, I always seem to either take things to a strange place or a sinister place. It just is one of those things.
This is at the end of this month, though. So, I mean, we've literally got, less than 3 weeks to put the show together at this point.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
We're building sets in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we are going to be madly building, stitching, gluing, papier mache?
Are we using papier mache?
Maybe.
Wait, is it papier mache?
Yes.
You made me say it wrong.
Papier mashing. Basically, we're going to be artsy, craftsy building, and because a lot of the creative work is fairly fixed down for now, so it's all good. So yes, we are together, and we thought we would capture us in discussion as Vertical Exchange Performance Collective, because last time Nigel just interviewed me, and we didn't.
Very well, I should add.
Yes.
Very well.
I love that episode.
Yeah,
It's good.
and we didn't have Kirsty with us, so this is a chance to kind of have us all here and all talk about our work and our processes and what it is that we do. So hopefully that's going to be interesting for you, but also to give you a little bit of a heads up about the show, which is going to be hopefully going on sale at the beginning of next week. So not tomorrow, but the next day.
I think you'll find I'll probably put this out when ever the tickets go live. I think I shall be all clever like that.
Indeed. So I should probably give it a quick title of the name of the show. So I'm going to tell you the name of the show, but I'm not going to tell you anything else about it yet. And then we're going to sort of talk about ourselves and then come back to it. So the show is called All Cried Out. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that. We're going to talk a bit more about that as we kind of move along.
But no spoilers. No spoilers, though.
No.
You know, because that's super important.
Indeed. So I think the best way to start is to talk about, really how VEX came about, who we are, and I suppose what we all bring to this room.
To this room, particularly.
Well, to this room, I've brought a blanket because it's cold.
Yes, it is.
It's always cold in my house. I don't like to put the heating on.
Not in my house, though. My house is warm.
Our house.
Nigel's
Our
house
house.
is always warm. Yes, this is true.
Well, actually, Nigel and I have been partners in life and partners in crime for 17 years now.
Yes.
Yes, we have.
And yet still I can't seem to say our house.
No, that's because you have taken far too much ownership over everything.
Actually, I'm gonna just say, I keep having to move places by myself first, and then Nigel tends to end up joining me in about 6 months or a year or 2 years in this case.
Well, it's because you're a nomad.
Yeah.
You're like this, to be honest, you spent the majority of the last 17 years moving from place to place.
Yes.
So it's not, I mean, how... Collectively, you've probably only lived together for about a year.
It's slightly more than that.
Slightly more than that now, but yeah, you're right. And so that's why, because it was just my house initially, because it was just me here with the dogs.
Look.
And all my stuff.
And all your stuff.
You can try to explain it as much as you like, but we all just know you're insensitive. Let's just underline that.
Indeed.
Like, you can cover it up, but you can't cover it up, is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah. And I've known Kirsty for, it must be getting on for 20 years.
Yeah, almost 20 years now, yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Yes, and we were most definitely partners in crime. Like,
We were.
Yeah, no, we were.
We met when we were teenagers. Late teens.
Yeah, late teens. Yeah,
Late
I was
teens.
18.
That would make sense for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
You don't know how old we are. I haven't said how old I am. I'm not saying how old I am either, by the way.
Yeah, that is it. All right, well, we met. I was 18, and
I must have been 9.
you were almost 20. Yeah.
Almost 20.
Yeah. So
That would be 19, yes.
yes.
And we were both studying in a little tiny place called Stamford. We were at college. And for anyone who's listening outside of the UK, not university.
Yeah, not Stanford using, the Ivy League college in America. No.
Oh, you shouldn't have left that disclaimer out. That would sound way more impressive.
we met while
Than a small
we met while we were
college
both
in
at
Lincolnshire.
Stanford.
Yeah. It's Lincolnshire, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is
it is
Lincolnshire,
Yeah.
And
So
you were studying,
special effects makeup. Yeah.
And I was
practical effects and
doing my A-levels at that point.
And I'm slightly younger, so I was at school at this point.
Shush!
Shush! You child. No, Nigel's the child. That's right. Nigel's the baby of VEX. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And so we've all been kind of involved in each other's life and in each other's, and it's always been, especially for Kirsty and I, it's always been about, our relationship's always been creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always been collaborative.
And strangely, has always been about mutual research.
Yeah.
Weirdly, if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at that time we were both exploring very similar ideas, and in meeting each other, we found like literally a partner in research. Because there were very few people where we were at the time that were interested in these things.
Yes.
And when I say these things, I mean performance specifically.
Yeah,
and
we didn't know that at that point that I mean, it's hilarious. Beyond it now, we know we were working in kind of performance art, kind of working with these ideas of play, liminality.
Yes.
We didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were actually doing, but we were stumbling towards this idea of, you know, creating experiences that were hard to recreate.
Yeah.
You know, we both had interesting experiences separately.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, and you know, I was.
And in some ways as well, it's always been with us about documenting, about capturing, about creating agency, explaining intimacy, and all of those things.
How do you convey certain things to other people?
Yeah.
How do you share those experiences with other people? And that was it. That was what it was about. And literally, I'd say less than a week after we'd met, we were already writing together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, it was kind of meant to be, really, wasn't it?
And interestingly as well, we're both crafters, so we both kind of make stuff, and we've always kind of made things, and we're both kind of unusual in that respect. So we tend to learn a technique and then apply it in a context where it's we kind of learn the way to do something and then just do whatever we need to do or want to do with it, rather than kind of the standard things.
I know what you're getting at. What we do is we know what we want to achieve, and then we learn everything we need to do in order to make it happen. That's what we do. Yeah. Because neither of us are particularly afraid of getting our hands dirty, and neither is Nigel. Yeah. Like, you know, I mean,
I'm fairly afraid of dirt.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Kirsty and I are crafty and artsy and have had art training in that way, but Nigel comes from a very
I haven't had art training.
Different place. We have had some because of all the makeup.
Makeup training. Yes, but I haven't had art training. We didn't go to an arts college. Let me just put it.
No.
You know, we have.
But you did do A level.
You went to a college with an artistic kind of steer, but it was not an arts college.
No, because this is the thing.
You did an A level in photography, which is part of the canon of art.
Was it?
No, you did that one.
That was at High Trees.
At High Trees,
yeah, that was at High Trees. Oh my god, this sounds very complicated right now.
Yeah, but Nigel is creative in terms of he's, you know, what you tell us.
I'm less live arty than either of you. My drawing skills are coming on. I can almost draw things now because I'm studying to do design engineering, so I can make products. So I like making things. So I end up doing a lot of making of sets, and I like sort of what's the word I'm looking for? More straightforward narrative stories. I like narrative stories. I like, you know. So I do a lot of that kind of thing as well. So
you're solution minded, right?
A problem solver. Yeah, I do. I do a lot of problem solving.
Absolutely. So. Where that is not really what you do, Joe.
No. Well, often, and our fridge is really good.
No, you do problem creating.
I do.
And you do problem solving, and it's perfect. That's why you're perfect for each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, our fridge is a perfect solution for this. There's some crazy ass drawings all over our fridge, like really weird little drawings on the bottom of recipes and things. But I tend to go to Nigel, I draw something very roughly and say, I really want this, but how do I get that? And Nigel then goes, okay. And then he takes his measuring tools and all of those things and comes up with solutions and tries to find ways to enable some of those things to happen. And like the model set, I'd never worked in that way before for Our Needful Things. Yes. When you made the set. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
I mean, I can do. I mean, we were offered the opportunity to do something for Art Reach.
Journey Festival International.
Journey Festival International in Portsmouth. And the idea was to make a performance basically in a container. And we were given the slightly problematic time constraint of about a week.
Not a Tupperware box container, but a
shipping container. Yeah, a shipping container. So the only way to do that was to obviously make a scale model of the container and everything that goes in it, because otherwise you're never going to be able to work it out. So.
I'm sorry,
that was the problem solving.
it was like a ridiculously short amount of time, wasn't it? I mean,
3 days.
Yeah, no, it was a week.
A week, sorry.
It was a
so
week.
you had a week to put the whole thing together.
Concept of being finished.
Concept of being.
And it was
audience.
kind of like, you know, it was one-on-ones. We only saw we saw 12 people in the end, I think, in a few hours.
But it's interesting what you just said, because you said the only way to approach that is to kind of visualize it in that space way, and is to make the space. And you made even all the little blocks, you made all our set to scale and everything so that we could move and maneuver stuff around. But that is not the way I would have come at that in terms of visualization. But that absolutely helped me so much. But it's so interesting you said that's the only way.
But this is hilarious because you are so untraditional, right? Because I mean, it's so weird because you're a scholar, you are an authority, but Nigel is a traditional prototypist. That's how you would do it in traditional theatre.
Absolutely.
And you know, me and you, Nigel, we're not formally trained in any of this. No. So it's something that we're self-taught in it. Yeah. I mean, really, you are as well, Joe, because there aren't many authorities in your fields.
No.
You know, of course there are giants, but you know, there aren't many authorities. So really, we're all kind of stumbling our way around this, but we've actually found that we're actually quite good at it. Yeah. Weirdly.
But it's so funny because you're right. It's because I would never have even thought to do it the way that everyone else in theatre would potentially, like theatre would have thought to do that, and I would never have thought to approach it like that because I don't operate in those ways. But actually it was so valuable, and what ended up happening was it just ran so smoothly and worked so beautifully, and I think it's because we got the chance to kind of really play and manipulate that space. But it's interesting you said that's the only way, and it's like I would never have even thought of doing that in the first place. I'd have kind of done weird rough sketches, not even to scale because my math skills are appalling, and just tried to visualise it and how it might operate.
I mean that works to an extent obviously, but without the scaling then you just you plan things that go into a space and then you go, oh, they don't fit.
And it's because we were tight, we had no time. We had to get in and get it done.
But like one of your strengths is during performance, you're happy to improvise. You're happy within yourself to, you know, make decisions on the fly. That it's not your strength to do things like Nigel does them.
Of course not.
Well, that's why you work so well together, to be honest. And this is the thing as well, is because you are so lost, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean you are so lost in the thought process of creating the work. It's one of the reasons why, you know, we talk a lot about your process, because, you know, I need to understand what you mean in order to translate it into a visual medium for the posters that I create.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's...
My briefs are appalling as well often. I come to you with the most... I never come with an actual brief ever.
No,
I'm just kind of like...
An actual... But that is because you are focusing on the performance alone.
Yeah.
So it's my job to know exactly what your performance is trying to say, then interpret it for other people who don't know you.
Yeah, and to try to give them that access.
Yeah, to try and say, this is what the show is. This is the spirit of the show. Because we never want to spoil the show for anybody, so we can't represent the show on the poster truly. Yeah. It's all about representing the spirit of the show. The spirit of
it. And actually it's so interesting that you say that, because Nigel, that's kind of what you do as well, because... Sometimes I can get really caught up in, once I get into the black box space, once I get into a rehearsal space, once I get into the room, or even just sometimes with the mechanics of, for me, the way, the ethics that drive the actual process of the performance itself, I can get very caught up in that and not really think about how to articulate that to a producer or to an audience to get people in. That's something you...
It's very hard to just, with any of this work, to sum it up succinctly without explaining everything. So you can't do a premise. You can't just
you can't do an elevator pitch of these shows.
You can't chuck that out because it just doesn't work.
And that's what producers want.
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course, because they need to be able to be sold the concept quickly, so they want to...
Tell me in 150 words is what it always is.
In a lot of ways, me and Nigel have the same job from a different side, and that is to interpret your performance. So it's like you are the engine that creates the show, and me and Nigel support and interpret.
I've ever told you my Shrek analogy.
Oh, what's that?
My Shrek analogy. Well, Shrek and all those kind of animated family films, they work on two levels. They specifically work on two levels. You've got the kind of the in-jokes for the parents, like with Shrek, you've got the Matrix thing, and
all the
you've got the adult things, and the gingerbread man being tortured and the way he's tortured. Yes. It's like little kids aren't going to get that because little kids just want the fart jokes.
Yes.
So Joe does all of the jokes to keep the adults happy while watching it, and I deal with the fart jokes. So I make sure that, you know,
that it's relatable.
So it's more relatable, and I'm not then basically saying everybody likes his children or anything. But
and
that's my analogy. I like it.
There are those discussions, aren't there? Because sometimes there'll be something that I think is super important because of the integrity of the dramaturgy of the event.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really is a negotiation of, and you always really probe as to, well, what are you actually trying to achieve there?
Yeah, I do give you a bit of a hard time. And I think this is why it's important that, because, I mean, ultimately, you know, we're best friends.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a ridiculous amount of time. And I can call you out on what I consider to be lazy thinking.
Yeah.
But it's easy to get caught up in that idea, like,
because it's head down and in it.
Well, it's because it's what feels right at the time when these things begin.
Yes.
And like, for instance, this show that you know, I mean, okay, it's like, oh, you know, you've got less than a month to actually do all the building for it, but the show itself has been in process for years. The first time we talked about this idea, and it was nothing like it is now.
No, God, no.
Right, but the concept behind it, the thought behind it, was years ago, and at that time, you hadn't questioned yourself. But I'm like a mirror. Like, you'll talk at me, and I'll talk back to you, but I'm just literally reflecting your ideas back at you. You know.
Yeah.
I mean this in the nicest way. That's a terrifying mirror.
Yes.
If the mirror talks back to me, I'm running away.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way it works. So I'll have it's usually on a Saturday or a Sunday. You and I will talk to the point where the landline phone,
a cordless landline phone runs out of battery,
and we have to then go to mobiles, which then usually run out of battery too. So we normally have, I would say, between 4 and 6 hour conversations on a very regular basis.
On average,
You should just get headsets, man. Bluetooth headsets.
Yeah, we should do. I don't know why we haven't.
You can walk around and do things as well, though. Hands free.
Yeah. Why do we not do that?
I don't know. Oh, God,
we also don't Skype, but then you're really trapped with Skype because you've got to be at the screen.
Unless you.
Whereas on the phone you can
headset.
Wander around.
Yeah, I've got one of those and you haven't. So remember when we would Skype and I'd walk away from the screen?
Oh yeah.
And you'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I'm trapped in my office.
Trapped here.
I want to walk around." We can't do it on Skype anymore, girls, because I can't walk around.
And then Nigel and I will so we'll have like huge conversations like that. And then Nigel and I will stand in our kitchen and have endless conversations in there. And so there's this kind of constant sort of feedback loop all the time.
Yeah.
That goes between us. So although we're not in a room like this very often, actually the transmission and the way that the work develops happens across all of these things, and it all sort of passes weirdly through me. It's weird, like
it's not that it passes through you. You are the origin, right? You are the spring in which these ideas flow, right? It's not that. The thing is that really it's not to say that I'm absent from the process.
Not at all. No.
But these things come from you, and they come from Nigel. These are your stories, your events. They're not mine.
Yeah.
But I'm a support character. Let's just say that.
Well, you're our digital wizard. I don't know if that just sounds terrible. I'm going to come up with a better term for that.
You know what? I'm just a Photoshop artist.
Digital alchemy.
That was it. Digital alchemy. You are digital alchemist.
You do digital alchemy.
No, but like, I mean, you know, really all I do is I do the logos, I do the posters, and I talk to you.
But they are so important because they are what are the first contact audience have with the show.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know what to say about that.
I mean, this is so interesting as well because it's one of the issues that we have been finding, and actually our Need for Things, the little container show, was exactly right for this. So you designed us a lovely logo for it when it first began as a kind of conceptual idea, which was very different to what actually ended up happening in the container.
Oh yeah, it's just got the same title. It's not the same thing.
It's got the same title, but it's not the same thing. But we had to have kind of images. And then Nigel and I did a shoot in my mum's garden.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, we're going to have to redo that.
And then those posters did not remotely really capture that shot. I mean, it was kind of lucky because we couldn't see many. We could only see 12 people anyway, so it didn't really sort of matter. But this is often the case, actually.
Yeah, but you had less than a week to prep.
Less than a week. So we were really on the hop. But we find this all the time, that we're asked to have, always like with Brighton, the registration, everything comes so far before you've genuinely really started working on the piece properly. So you're having to produce all the marketing material, all that first contact with the audience, often before the show's actually what it's finished. Really going to be or finished.
Well, it's different when you write a writer piece and then that piece is blocked out and then that piece is rehearsed. This is a bit more...
Much more
bespoke,
fluid. Yeah.
I would say. Because you can react to pretty much any location. So.
Well, any conditions that are put on us, and we're really good. I think that's one thing we're really good at, is responding to that.
My little guerrilla immersion term, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, everything this year is designed to fit in the car, in a box. It has to. It has to be absolutely that portable this year, so that we can kind of get out and about and reach the audiences we want to reach, which is what All Cried Out is going to kind of really kickstart. We had some tentative R&D last year, like with the Container Project and all of that. A piece down in the Coast Guard Studios here in Portsmouth as well. But this year's really about getting the work out and about. So actually the work you're doing is going to become hugely important, because this time we need and we want to connect with the audience. And
give me the pug.
That artwork is the very first... I'm just passing the pug away from the microphone, sorry.
I'll stick him under my blanket and that should dampen the noise a bit. Come on, boy. Come on, boy.
So that artwork is some of the first contact, and it's so important because it gives the flavour of the show. It's what gets them even to want to come and see the show. Although the show, I hate that word. It has. Or whenever I say the word show, I think of Satine coming down on on the swing, and sparkles and hats.
Yeah, just in case you don't know what she's talking about, she's talking about Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, you think of it as a show, as in a showy show. Yeah. But obviously, it's not a show. It's an experience. It's a performance. It's it's a space. It's a circle on the ground. If you think about it like that, it can be anything at any time. It's not a show, but show is a convenient word.
It's a convenient word, I know, and
it's an absolute
everybody
word.
just uses it, and it always just makes me go.
If only I knew an academic who could redefine words.
Oh, we might have one in our very presence. Maybe someone should write a little something.
Yeah, maybe.
I think I've made that joke to everybody I know now.
Yeah, I know, and now to hopefully many people listening, but.
Oh yeah, everyone I don't know as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is I'm not a professional artist. I'm a hobbyist, shall we say?
Yeah. But you are trained in post-production, and you're trained in photography, and you are.
No, I'm self-taught in most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I did.
And fabulous.
Yes, I am. Thank you is the answer.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Shut up. Look, here's the thing. What I lack in professional flair, I gain working with you because I understand you.
Yeah.
No agency you go to
will be able to do that.
Is going to be able to interpret what you say to me. Because let's be very honest, when we talk on the phone, it is amorphous ideas.
Yes, absolutely.
And after they're boiled down, I know what you mean.
Well, we have a huge shorthand.
Yeah,
because of 20 years of friendship, that it's just a crazy...
Well, working together and doing all these
shorthand,
things. We have a similar pool of influences.
Very much
Plus, I also know what you love that I don't like.
Yeah.
And I'm able to interpret what you mean because I know what you love and what you don't love.
Yeah.
I love and what I don't love, what we share and what we don't.
Yeah.
And that's as important. But it's, what I lack in, 20 years of experience in graphic design or whatever, I gain in knowing you well enough.
Yeah. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, isn't it? It's about reaching out and communicating with an audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this brings me on to kind of that idea of there is a massive tension and issue with this kind of work, because you want people to come. Of course we want people to come because we want to share the experiences that we're generating. But what we also don't want to do is give anything away about that experience, because it's about the experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's worse than...
It's just like...
Well, it's worse than spoiling a narrative.
Yes.
Right, because you know, spoilers are bad.
Yes.
Right, let's face it. Nobody likes to be spoiled on things. I mean, some weird people might, but, you know, most of us don't. But once a narrative has been spoiled, okay, we can still maybe enjoy the film, enjoy the TV show, enjoy that process of watching that narrative, even though we know how it's going to end. We can still enjoy the journey. The problem is with creating liminal spaces is you're trying to put people into a certain mindset that if it's ruined for them, they cannot experience it as it comes. They cannot be present the way you need them to be present.
Exactly.
Because their expectation.
They have expectation,
Yeah, and if you come into that space with too much expectation, it's a problem. So you need to lay that groundwork, lay that atmosphere, so they're not surprised by the tone.
Yes, exactly.
But
it's
not
all
give
about
away
tone.
what is exactly happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is a huge challenge, and it's not just a challenge in terms of generating marketing material. It's also been, and I know me and Nigel have talked about this a lot just recently, it's a ridiculously huge challenge for trying to persuade people and producers and arts industry professionals to book shows as well. It's always a huge tension in that respect, I think. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, haven't we, recently, about how do you tell it in a nutshell? How do you have an elevator pitch?
Yeah.
How do you have a line? How do you persuade and explain the value of this to a producer or arts industry professional?
Well, unfortunately, that's one of the things we were bemoaning is that's the problem with the corruption of the word immersive.
Yes.
Right, because immersive is a buzzword currently that sells.
Yeah.
Right, which is important because you need to acquire space in order to put these shows on.
Absolutely.
That's half the problem.
Yeah.
You need, because you're doing like festivals currently.
Yeah.
And to get on the bill in those festivals, you
need to put that word in.
And that's the buzzword.
Yeah.
But what you do is actual immersive theatre. That's your specialty. That's everything, right? But the majority of stuff out there that use that word are not immersive.
Yeah.
In the slightest.
Yeah.
They use that word to sell, and now the meaning of that word has become watered down.
Yeah.
And that's
I think especially with the rise of and the further rise of VR, especially the term immersive is going to become very, very muddy.
Yeah, it is,
because everything is going to, with VR is immersive.
It's immersive.
And that it's not like there aren't enough crossover vocab words between games and immersive theatre already.
Yeah.
It's already pretty muddy.
And it's so frustrating for me because, I spent many years of my life and 120,000 words explaining this phenomena that I'd kind of come across and no one was really talking about. And I had to literally hunt the work down, travelling all over the country to kind of hunt the work down. Then I lift my head at the end and go, oh shit, everyone's calling this kind of stuff now it's because it's just exploded right at the end of my PhD, immersive. And I was like, well, I've just spent the last 4 years calling it participative performance. Bugger. So for me, it's got that more double-edged. Even as a scholar, I'm kind of like, oh, darn.
Because the problem is participative.
It's an awful word. I know.
It is a terrible word choice, and you are more than aware of that now. But it was the only thing at the time that was really describing what you were finding.
Well, I was trying to articulate something that no one was talking about.
Yeah, and also immersion doesn't cover it.
No,
immersion really doesn't cover what liminality is.
No,
honestly. But do the people at home know what liminality is?
So liminality is probably not a space that is betwixt and between. Is the way that Victor Turner, who came up with the term, describes it. So it's actually an anthropology term, and he was away looking at tribes and indigenous peoples. And of course they have lots of rituals where they go from one state to another, and it describes the space between being one state and another. The best way of thinking about it in terms of our culture is when a couple get married and social rituals like that. So you go from being, I don't know, Nigel and Joe, you go through a process, you go through this liminal site, you cross the threshold, and then you become
Mr. and Mrs.
And you're forever. Nothing really changes a great deal for the man in that respect, but for a woman that's quite a significant social transition.
Only by name. The point is the space. It is just literally a space. Like like when you're at a registry office, this isn't a temple, this isn't a place of worship.
No.
Right, but the registry office itself is a liminal space.
It's a liminal space because it's betwixt and between.
But the idea is that the crossroads doesn't just represent the idea that you could go any which way.
Mm-hmm.
When you stand in the centre of a crossroad, right, you are neither north, south, east, west. You are in the middle of all of it. And
all of it,
you have the potential to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Plus, the crossroads is traditionally where you make dodgy bargains with certain supernatural creatures.
Indeed.
So the idea is that it is a place where almost it's magically ambivalent.
Yes.
It's neutral entirely, and so almost anything could happen.
Yes.
Yeah, you know,
it's transformational, and it's that's the key about liminality is it isn't always transformational, but it is the potential of radical transformation.
Like everything exists in potential in that space.
In that moment, because the usual rules of that social space or that particular space that you're aware of don't apply anymore.
They've been bent or broken in such a way
moment
that is inviting change.
Yes.
Transformation. Yeah.
And so that's where we operate with our work. Yeah. So why don't we talk about this show then? So, All Cried Out.
How long ago was it that this? I mean, this was several years ago now. What we were talking about. Where this began.
I mean, actually, very interestingly, I was thinking about it the other day, and we're kind of obviously starting to really get into the nitty gritty of it and put it all together. It actually started with Life is Big Bad Body Mine.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, which was, I don't even know how many years ago now, but 3?
No.
4.
Is it 3?
No, before.
When did I have the surgery? 4 years ago?
Well, I was 30, so 4 years.
Yeah, so 4 years. And actually, so that's what it started life as, and it's kind of evolved and bubbled and evolved and bubbled, and then we got given this opportunity to perform in the COLAB Factory's Festival of Immersive Performance, and we were like, this is a really wonderful opportunity to do something a little bigger scale than we've been doing. By bigger scale, I mean having 2 audiences instead of 1.
Yeah.
2 audience members instead of 1.
Yeah, and 2 performers. Well,
3, maybe 3 performers.
It's still within the same kind of scale, I think.
But it's slightly differently, the space is slightly differently sliced up.
Yes. We're having to...
Without giving too much away.
Yes. We're going to be on at the same time as another show. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be negotiating and moving around that.
No, but I'm talking about your space.
Yeah.
Your performative space is sliced up a little bit differently.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not just sharing the building with somebody else. Like, you know, because you're really, like, not traditionally, but within your own work...
Yeah.
You've been like an open space performance.
Yes, yes, so and this is not going to be that.
Yeah.
This is going to be processual, so it's going to be kind of accumulative as an experience that will have a beginning, middle and an end.
Event versus event,
yeah. So it stacks up across the evening for the audience. And again, this is really hard because I'm trying to be insightful but vague because of course I don't want to give too much away. And Nigel is actually going to be performing as well this time. Nigel has performed before. We did a show back in Plymouth at the Barbican Festival, one of our very early pieces back in 2005, and Nigel played a transvestite in this kind of weird little interactive installation that we did with his head kicked in.
That was a very short. That was
pre-beard. So
it was pre-beard.
Pre-beard. Yeah, and you are like, you know, a pretty man. So
I wasn't in that.
Oh, yeah,
I do not make a good
You have brilliant legs, and they looked very good in fishnets and heels. But I'm
the
biased.
Rest of me didn't.
I'm biased.
You are
of course.
biased.
Yeah,
so.
of course you are. But you performed in Wishbox as well.
I did.
Yeah, and you performed in Wishbox too. So you've taken on kind
and
of
Siren Song
and Siren Song.
Siren Song, of course.
Yeah. Performed
I do loads.
I'm
seasoned.
Was Siren Song the first poster I did for you? Was that the first one?
Yes, it was. It was the very first one. I've still got loads of the postcards because they're beautiful.
Thank you.
And I give them out to producers and stuff as well because they want to see like old work and old stuff that we do, and they look so nice.
Or as some people call it, previous work.
Not
work.
Old work. Old work.
Well, not old work.
The old work we used to do.
So,
no, but we were still finding our feet back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're always going to be just finding our feet because what we do is so experimental, and because what we do is so contingent on, because again, without the audience, nothing will happen. There won't be a show.
But what's weird about that is, like, even back then, you were still saying, Nigel, you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm just stepping in.
I'm just stepping in. Actually, we've just realised You've performed in pretty much every show.
I mean, the reality is I stepped in a lot, so I guess it was like, well, I might as well just do more.
But this year actually was a shift because...
No, this year we
at
made
the end of the year you said...
a conscious choice last year to do more and...
to be central.
Like that, so,
yeah. It is funny, you're right though, you've been in every single show, but you've always kind of stepped in to help me out. And this time we've had a massive change in...
Yeah.
You've said... Because we've realised you're not just stepping in to help me out.
But
this is what we've done.
half of this show is devised by you.
Yes.
So it's not like you're stepping in to perform.
No.
You know, you've been involved from the very beginning.
Very beginning, yeah.
And it's come on.
This is an expansion of another thing, so...
Well, this actually leads nicely to start to explain it a little. So All Cried Out is an hour-long-ish interactive piece. And for the audience, it's... At moments will be one-on-one, at moments will be one audience member with another audience member and one audience member with maybe a couple of performers, but never all together, all separately. But the big thing is there are two parallel experiences happening at exactly the same time. And it's a story, a real mine and Nigel's story, actually. And when you get a ticket, you either buy a ticket for his story or her story. And they are genuinely... It's the same story, but from entirely different perspectives.
It's the same story, but told gender specifically.
Yeah. And we're not saying that women should buy a ticket to do the women's one.
Gender specifically.
Exactly. And so it's a story of us... I can say this because this will be on all the marketing material.
Yeah,
so
you can sell it over on the blurb. Yeah,
it's the story of mine and Nigel's struggle to conceive, which has been long and arduous and involved surgeries and miseries, and I don't want to give too much of that away, but it's been hard and it's ongoing. And what we try to do is give you access to our perception of how those things have happened and how those things have affected us from our two different perspectives, because we have a very different perspective on those stories and our story and the experiences that we've had. And so it's about giving the audience access to that. And so you can come and... Of course you can come and do both if you want to, but you have to choose. You have to choose because I will be calling you in to my story and Nigel will be calling you out.
To his. Yeah.
To his. And so it's this parallel stories that are the same story, but told, or not even told, experienced.
I think this one is a bit more told
than we have done before.
But still.
But it's still not narrative.
No, it's not.
It's not narrative.
No.
It's about sharing
It's a sharing.
Yeah, it's about sharing something.
And you'll have to do, like, the invitation is to come and we prepare you to do something with us. And I can't be any more
specific
than
don't
that.
Be any more specific, no.
And that's fine. And so there's a mix of audio, really intimate audio experience, and there's a mix of genuinely getting your hands dirty. My only advice would be, don't wear something you don't mind potentially getting
a little bit grubby.
Just
a wee bit grubby.
A wee bit grubby.
Yeah. But it's not definitely grubby.
And don't wear heels. The COLAB factory
is not set up for glamour.
It's not set up for glam.
No.
Unless you are a absolute whiz in heels, which I'm not. I can't run for the bus in them or manage cattle grates in them. But if you are someone who can, absolutely kudos to you. And you're more than welcome to come in high heels, whether you're male or female. If you can walk in heels like that, well done. Because I can't. I would have to come in sneakers. Or wellies. I really like wellies.
I know.
But they break a lot.
I know that too.
So that is what we're all working on at the moment. And
see, what kind of fascinates me about this show is that it is different than what you've done before on many levels. It is. Many levels.
It's much more exposing than anything we've done before.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, what's kind of wonderful about it is that, you know, it's two very different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
It's unlike what you've done before because, like I've said, you know, a few times, it's like, you know, me and Nigel often spend a lot of our time interpreting your will if you like, as a creator.
Yeah.
And really, this is the first time where you've given up half of the show to somebody else, which is an incredibly achievement for you.
Yeah.
Considering how much of a control freak you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And not in a bad
way.
No,
entirely.
Not in a bad way at all. But it's, you do insist on having complete creative control, which is why you're absolutely sure that, the shows have, that they have value for research purposes.
Yeah, of course.
Right, but with this one, you've let go of the reins a little bit because you're willing to give up a little bit of perhaps that, research value.
But I think it's because
to put value into the show.
But I think it's because over the last year, I've really managed to, and I think we've talked about this a lot again, Nigel, as well, is what we've all come to realise is we really have hit on a dramaturgy that operates in ways that excite all of us and interest all of us, and for me has huge value. It's given me huge insight and generated loads of new knowledge for me. So now what we're doing is we're playing in that dramaturgy and really exploring it. Because I think we feel, and maybe that's why I feel much more confident about going, actually I think I've spent a long time, but I think we've
really come across
a playful space,
a good way of doing this kind of this kind of level of performance and this kind of number of people. I think, to be honest, it's the end of the R&D phase for this kind of numbers, basically, because that's what we said originally. We were going to work out exactly how to make one-on-one performance really touching, or micro performance, which is your term, and you're an academic, so you're allowed to make terms. So this kind of micro performance, in this case, is a mixture of audio and one-on-one experience and some kind of thing. Some kind of thing that happens at some point during the thing. There you go. That's vague enough, right?
I know. It always makes us sound so poncy, but it's like, kind of we're not telling you because if you come, we want you to have a genuinely fresh experience.
Yeah.
What was I saying? I can cut out the bit of what was I saying.
That's fine. That we've found, I think we have hit on a really interesting way of creating genuine agency, creating genuine efficacy, and maybe that's why I feel much more comfortable now in saying, okay, I think we have found a really interesting form that is significant.
I think we've really kind of hit the nail on the head with that. So I know that's slightly self-aggrandising, but still, I think it.
No, it's not self-aggrandising because you've spent years perfecting this at this point, and let's be honest on paying for everything yourself.
Yeah.
No funding, none of this stuff. I mean, basically, it's through passion.
Yeah.
This work is funded through blood, sweat, and tears. Ultimately,
bloody mindedness.
Like none of us has made any money out of this, and
cost us money.
It costs us money to put these shows on.
Yeah.
It costs you a lot of money. But it's also a massive time cost. But the point is that what you gain out of it, all the hard work that's been, every show that you've put on, every, I was going to say every couple of £100, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
Every pound that you've put down, every everything that you've explored, all of that adds up to what is going on now, which is literally the most exciting this work has been.
I know. I mean, we've taken up, to this point, it was all about R&D, so it was really about us trying to find the form.
Yeah.
Now we have, now we really want to invite audiences into it.
Now you're really free. Because, like you were saying, you've got to a point now where you have confidence in this show, right?
Yeah.
You've got to have confidence in each other as creative partners. But it's also, this invitation is for real. Like, you're standing there and you're not, it's not...
I'm me, he's him.
Yeah.
We're really us, and we're asking you to come as you.
Am I really me?
Yeah, you are
sure?
Really, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm pretty confident.
Brutal.
I'm sorry.
And it's exposing, and it's risk-taking, and it's dangerous. I don't mean not get emotionally dangerous in that way.
Yes, it is.
But actually, we spent a long time developing this dramaturgy, and now it's time to really give it over to the audience. And again, as ever with all of our work, it can't happen if no one comes.
Oh, yeah.
It won't happen if no one comes. And that's what's exciting, because it's what happens between you and I as an audience member. It's what happens between the audience member and Nigel. in that moment, and it will never be the same for anyone else ever again. Even if you came again, you probably wouldn't have the same experience ever again. Yeah. And I think that would be... And so I guess what I'm saying is, we hope that now we've really found this form, that people will come.
We'll be excited to come.
We'll be excited to come.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited, and then the researcher in me says, this will be amazing to actually get this out to real people, to get it out of these tiny small spaces we've had to be able to develop the work and get it out to real...
Well, out of theory, into practice. Yeah, because researchers practice. Is what you're all about. I mean,
absolutely.
Honestly.
And so I'm ridiculously excited. We've got a crazy 3 weeks ahead of us. But I'm genuinely excited to be waiting to be stood in COLAB Factory and the first person to come in, and I'm looking forward to that. Nigel looks utterly terrified right now.
I was just thinking I might start sitting down.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Standing's hard. Sitting's easy.
But it will all be a convergence. It's all a convergence of the three people sat around this little coffee table right now that's made this kind of come to. But what is so interesting is we work so hard to create this pregnant scenario, and all the work that's gone into all the years, all the things that we do, really will come to nothing until someone comes and inhabits it. Until someone comes and plays in it.
It's almost like the person coming in is like putting the coin in the machine. The automata begins.
Yeah, absolutely.
But every time is different.
Every time is different.
It is a different experience, absolutely.
And so for all of us, yes, it's a crazy 3 weeks. Got to get all this stuff made, get this show done. But we are entirely reliant on there being an audience. If you're doing an end-on show and you do it to 2 people, you're going to do it regardless. We literally... have something that needs to be inhabited, and if no one comes to inhabit it, it kind of won't happen.
Well, that's the difference and the unique, the USP, if you like, of this particular performance, because unlike stage performances, if the theatre is empty, the show can go on.
And will
go on, right? But with you, it's like, with these performances, these types of performances, that they're all fueled by the audience, entirely fueled by the audience.
So I guess in some ways it hopefully has intrigued you. Hopefully you'll be excited and spread the word and come down yourself if you can't come down because it's in London. Tell everyone you know who might be interested to come, but we're really excited and we really hope that London audiences who are into this kind of work come and respond. And of course, we are not the only piece of this type of work going on at the COLAB Factory. There's going to be, there's a whole season, and it's already started actually. So get onto COLAB's website and have a look, because there are so many different types of work. There's performance games going on there. There's pieces of immersive theatre. There's pieces of horror theatre. And what we do, which we haven't quite described what it is yet, but our show as well. And so come along and tell everybody about it.
All cry out.
Everybody who makes this work, everybody I know who makes this kind of work, and everyone who's going to be part of this season, do this pretty much off their own backs and with very little funding and support. And this is Bertie Watkins, who owns COLAB Factory, kind of throwing open this little gem of a place he has and letting you get at it. And that is really exciting. So please support us, even if it's just by telling someone about it. That would be amazing.
It's an incredible achievement actually putting this sort of thing together, and he should be proud of himself, really.
Absolutely. And we are really pleased to be invited to be a part of this, and we're really looking forward to doing it. So end of March 2017, all cried out at COLAB Factory. The website is all on there under
so even if you don't come to
season.
See this show, at least think about going to something, because it'll be worth it,
and go and have a look.
It'll be something you won't see anywhere else, that's for sure. No matter what you're going to see, you won't see it anywhere else.
Indeed. Right. I think that is a really good place for us to sort of draw our ramblings to a close.
Yes.
And I hope you enjoyed this odd little mini-sode, extra little nugget, and I'm hoping there are going to be many more to follow.
Yes.
So it's night time, so I'm going to say good night. And Nigel, do you want to say good night?
Good night.
And good night from Kirsty. Oh my god, it's like a Blue Peter presenter.
Oh my god.
And good night from the BBC.
Now it's time to stand as, we play the...
I never know. This is the hardest bit. I never quite know how to finish. I'm like, yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Bye.
Actually, I already told Kirsty. Did I tell you this story about when you did the not COLAB, but you said that.
Lab Collective,
yeah.
Lab Collective, yeah.
Because I edit all these, and I was actually sat in on that one because I happened to sort of be there with you, and it got to the end, and you did your thank you very much, thank you, yes, thank you. And then you stopped talking, you turned the recorder off, and you kept talking to them, because obviously we were in the same room, and my brain just got completely confused. It was like, why are you still talking? This is the end. This is finished. Why is there still words? Because it was because I've done these so often. It was like my brain wouldn't accept the fact it had finished.
There was
over.
like podcast extras.
Yeah, you got extras.
It was live podcast extras. My brain just going, this is confusing. I don't know about this.
Well, to save any confusion, in a moment or so, we're all just going to stop talking.
Look, let's just go bye. Right. Right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Oh my god, why are we so awkward?